Hey, it's Tigman. Time for this week's edition of the Metal Box, our weekly discussion on all things hard rock and heavy metal. This week we got an interview with guitarist Joe Hottinger from the band Halestorm. They got a brand new album that just came out called Vicious on Atlantic Records. They got a tour Within This Moment, which is playing the Albany Capitol Center on August 3rd. Talked about the album, the tour. I also asked Joe about his dream tour for Halestorm, the band that he would love to see Halestorm tour with. Check it out.
I'm proud of all our records, and all of them have been learning experiences that have led to this one. But we work with a new producer on this, Nick Raskulinecz, who's like, you know, he's like a rock god for producers. He's done Foo Fighters, Alice in Chains, Deftones, Mastodon, Korn,
Nice.
Queens of the Stone Age, Rush.
Wow.
I mean, he's like the guy, you know, and it was just an honor to get to work with him, and we just dove right in, and he became the fifth member of the band and really, you know, helped us meet, I think, our potential and what we've always been going for. And everything was more, louder, faster, harder. And I think we really captured some great moments on tape. It's cool.
He's got quite the resume, huh? You just rattled off some big names there.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, the dude is like the band whisperer or something. And he's such a rock and roll fan and geek that, like, I mean, he could name the studio that, like, this Judas Priest record was recorded at and what drummer, you know, it's just like, he just is into rock and roll, and and it shows. You know, it shows on our record. He didn't let us get away with anything that wasn't cool. So
you've had some great success with all your albums so far. The debut album, of course, you had the Strange Case of, which you earned your first Grammy with that album. You had 2015's Into the Wildlife, which was your highest charting album. So that's why I'm saying, is there like big expectations? Do you need to chart higher than Into the Wildlife on this next album?
You know, I don't know. That's out of our control. We just do the best we can writing and playing, and if cool stuff happens around it, then fantastic. And, you know, we're hoping for the best, but I don't know. We did our job for the record. We busted our butts in the studio, and I think we did something really cool. So hopefully that gets reflected in a great spot on the charts, and if not, I'm not that worried anyway, because we still go out and play for more fans every time we play somewhere, so it's still growing.
The new album is out on Atlantic Records called Vicious. The tour, how's the tour been going? You're doing this tour Within This Moment and New Year's Day. This is the second leg. You kicked it off back in April. It's kind of like a female Voices of Rock kind of thing you got going here. How's it been going so far?
Yeah, man, it's been amazing. It's been really, really cool. There's a bunch of cool things. Like, we realized a few days into it that, like, it's a really neat statement on the current state of women in hard rock and metal, because it's not just like, oh, it's a female-fronted band, and then you kind of get the idea. No, like, Lizzie, Maria from In This Moment, and Nash from New Year's Day all are so amazing at what they do, but they are all totally different. Like, all three bands are occupying a different space in this big genre, you know. In This Moment is more theatrical and dark, and, you know, it's this cool, almost witchy, gothy vibe thing, and we're just a rock and roll band. We like, Lizzie's voice is just mind-blowing, and especially live you hear just like transcend. I don't know, it's amazing. We try to make these they're just coming from different places, and we also found out from Live Nation that, like, there's more women coming to the show than men. The scale's tipped for, like, a hard rock show.
Is that
like
right?
60-40 women to men, which kind of blew our minds. We'd never seen that before, and
wow,
it's awesome, man. There's all these girls out in the crowd, like, embracing these heavy moments that are so traditionally masculine, and you kind of realize that testosterone and masculinity have really, like, nothing to do with these awesome heavy moments that are happening on stage. Like, women can embrace it too and make it their own, and it's just it's a trip. It's really cool, and there's a ton of rock chicks out in the crowd. Like, you can't beat that.
Rock chicks in the crowd is always a plus, Joe. I think we can all agree on that. I mean,
yes, totally.
Do you really want the audience of a Rush show where it's all dudes?
I mean, hey, man, fan's a fan, but yeah, it's nice to have some eye candy too.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure is. We're speaking with Joe from Halestorm. The big tour is rolling into the Albany Capitol Center, new venue, just opened up earlier this year, right in downtown Albany, right next to the Times Union Center. This is going to be on August 3rd. Going to be Halestorm Within This Moment and New Year's Day. Now, what would be your dream tour, Joe, if you could tour with any other band, one that you haven't toured with yet? What would be the pinnacle? What's the tour you want Halestorm to go on?
I want Halestorm and Foo Fighters, man. We've never even played a festival show with them. I've seen them a bunch when I was a kid in high school on their second and third record and stuff. But I saw them on their first record too, but never toured with them. So one of these days,
that would be awesome.
That'd be a trip, man. We're such fans, and from what I understand, we have a lot of mutual friends, and it sounds like their vibe is similar to ours. Just really have a good time all the time, and have a good time having a good time, you know?
Joe, have you met Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters camp? Are you guys on their radar?
We haven't met him. Nick, who produced our record, has done a bunch of Foo Fighters records, and I know he showed Dave our record, and after we were done with it, and I guess Dave was totally digging it, so that was a trip. Oh, you know who else is digging the record?
Who's that?
Billy Corgan sent us a message on Instagram.
Really?
He loved the new song and is totally blown away by Lizzie's voice. And maybe I shouldn't be saying that because it was a nice message. But it was, like, for me, like, Smashing Pumpkins was my band in the 90s. That was, like, numero uno. And I bought the Aeroplane Flies High box set. You know, I listened to the B-sides. I was deep into that band. So they're actually going to be in Nashville on Friday night, and we're all going to go out and see them and kind of meet them for the first time. So I'm a little bit pumped.
I bet you are. How great is that? One of your heroes there is liking what he's hearing from your band. That's got to feel good, man.
Man, if you'd have told me that when I was 15, I'd have called you a liar.
Yeah, right? It's awesome. It's so cool, man. It's so good to see what's going on with you guys and the success you're having. We're speaking with Joe from Halestorm. So the goal is to get a Halestorm Foo Fighters or Halestorm Smashing Pumpkins tour. That's what we're going to be doing, trying to get that going.
Let's do it, man. I am not scared. That would be just a blast.
Can we get some kind of petition going online or something? Maybe we can work this out. We'll figure this out.
Let's do it.
And that'll do it for this week's edition of the Metal Box. Thanks for tuning in. The rock and roll limo has arrived. We'll see you next week.